So I've been working my way through Dorohedoro, the manga. I'm currently 9 volumes in on that, and at this point I decided I'll go ahead and I'll start kind of watching the anime as I go through the manga. I watched the first couple of episodes, 2 or 3 of them, and I just kind of fizzled out, and I went back and I watched another one, and then I took another couple days off and went back and watched another one. I think I'm currently at about 5 episodes of the anime. And for some reason, I just can't seem to get into it, and it's just not really taken off for me. And I just kind of keep going back and pecking away at it. And I haven't really been able to put my finger on why I'm struggling to get into the anime when I love the manga so much. Then I get this comment. What really made you interested in Dorohedoro was the art, right? What did you think of the art and animation of the show? Does it live up to the manga standard? I didn't want to watch it because the few frames I did happen to see I thought looked crappy and the soul of the manga art just wasn't there. But I might have judged it prematurely. Just thought you might be like-minded, so was interested to hear your thoughts. And I got that like a week ago, and I keep meaning to respond to this guy. Sorry, Carl, by the way. But I just keep churning over it because I'm not sure why I'm stalling out on the anime, and I'm not sure how to answer this guy because I don't want to just be like, no, it's fine, or bash on it without having fully thought this through and having a good answer for this guy. These are the stupid things that are important to me for some reason. But it really is. So long story short, I've been thinking about this for a while now. And to your point, what got you interested in the manga was the art, right? This is correct. And the first thing that's jarring when you turn on the anime is just how crisp and how clean and how pristine the art is. It is phenomenal, do not get me wrong, but there is a dirty, gritty, grungy, grimy feel, scratchy, just almost, some people have said that it's irritating to look at just looking at the manga. So to look at the anime and how crisp and clean it is, it's not the same. That's not to say that the animation and the art in that animation isn't great, because it really does look good. But that's almost the problem, is it looks good and it should look just Then, does it live up to the manga standard? That depends on your definition of the standard. If your definition of the manga standard is that grit, that just ground in grit, then no, it doesn't. If your idea of the manga standard is just high-ass quality, then yeah, it kind of does, because it does clearly have high-quality production value that has been put into it. And to your last point, I didn't want to watch it because the few frames that I saw looked pretty crappy and it looked like the soul was missing. That depends on your definition of the soul. I would boil it down to a couple of different things. First off, the art, which we've touched on, and it's just not quite the same. And actually, I'm going to spend a little bit more time over here on the art for just a second, because they changed it. They got rid of the grit and the grime, but then they changed other things that there was not really much of a need to change. Like, classic example is Kaiman versus Kaiman. So right there is your example of how drastically different this is from this. Secondly, there are things that didn't need to be changed, like just the look of Nikaido's face is different. It's almost like Mappa had a computer program with Mappa's art style already preloaded into the computer, and they were like, do we change the computer program to make it look like Dorohedoro? They're like, nah, it'll be fine. Just use all the Mappa presets. We don't need to change anything. That's what it feels like they did. I mean, it literally feels like Mappa spent so much money developing this computer program to generate their art in the Mappa style, that once they spent all that time, effort, energy, and money, well, we're not changing the program every time we make a new anime, are we? No, that would cost more time, effort, energy, and money. And maybe that's true. Maybe they just don't have the effort, time, and energy and money to change. So once they had built that high-quality engine, they just let that engine do what that engine does. And if that's the case, then that is a totally acceptable answer as to why it looks so shockingly different. Anyway, none of this is to say that this is a bad anime or that this anime looks bad. It just looks different. And there are things like, take Noi, for example. Noi in the manga is like a powerhouse of everything. She simultaneously looks like a brick house, a walking wall that's like 7 foot tall and will destroy everything in her path, while simultaneously is like drop dead gorgeous and stunning, just dripping with sex appeal, which therein lies the power of just sheer brute force and sheer femininity somehow fused together in this wall. This wall of a woman. And in the anime, she is just the brick house that comes and destroys things. The other half, the sex appeal, has been stripped from her for some strange reason in the anime, or at least toned down. Even when they take a panel from the manga and recreate it exactly in the anime, it is just not the same. It's just missing something. Now, let me also iterate that everything else stays true to the manga. This anime is almost beat for beat and word for word identical to the manga. Almost. I mean, so it's hard to say that it's a step down because it's so faithful. Like I said, almost word for word. The slice of life is there. The comedy's there. The characters are there. Everything's there. And the animation and the art is really quite top tier as far as an anime is concerned. So if you are here for the fun and the comedy and the characters and the slice of life and all of that, and you love anime and you love the animation and the art and the colors and the fluidity. I mean, take for example, there's a scene where they're flying around on the bikes. Shin and N are flying around on the little like smoke-powered motorcycle flying things. And I was just like, oh, wow. Like just the animation's good. It's pretty. It just looks really superb. I was like, damn. So the art and the animation is really, really, really good. But at the same time, there are just enough things, and I think this is what you mean by soul, there are just enough things missing that I felt were crucial to my investment and enjoyment of the manga. So this is like 90% there, with just a couple key little things that they left out. But those couple key little things, I can't stress the word key enough. Now, I've spent a ton of time talking about the art. The other thing missing is the hard R rating. Now, in my last video that I made, I went on a little tangent at the end because it clicked in my brain. One of the things that I love so much about this manga is the fact it takes everything and it just tips it right into a hard R rating. And this is an anime that said, what if we took a movie that was really rated R, like really hard R, leaned way into every other word is the F word. Every other scene has some type of naked people, like just everywhere. And they were like, well, what if we got rid of all that? What if we made that R movie and we edited it down to a PG-13 movie and made it more accessible to more people? Well, then you lost something. And in my last video, I called it the cherry on top. As a matter of fact, I said this. Like, if this was a movie, this is some hard R stuff. Like, that's the bow that ties it all up, right? It's that really edgy, gritty, that hard R rating that almost feels like, I want to say unnecessary, but it's so not. It is that, it's the cherry on top. Like, you can have the comedy, you can have the slice of life, you can have the mystery, you can have all of that, but then putting it in this just really messed up, and they just tip it right over into the extreme. Like I said, if it was a movie, it would just be a real hard R rating for that movie, and it's just that cherry on top that just like, was it necessary? Yeah, I say it was, because it just made it. It was that extra touch that just tipped it over the edge into something truly special. And it was when I said that everything kind of clicked. This comment kind of came back to me, and I'm like, oh, it's not just the art. It's the fact that they toned down the rating and they took away that edge to it. And if I called it the cherry on top, it really is. And with it gone, it's clearly missing something. So I guess in conclusion, can you take the exact same story and reproduce it exactly, but switch the animation from a dark, gritty, grungy style to a prettier, more anime style? And then take the hard R rating and just switch it to a PG-13 rating. And then do those two changes affect your ability to enjoy that particular property, keeping all the other things in place and steady? For me, it's a step down. I wouldn't say it's a huge step down, but it's a definite step down. And if for some reason you were introduced to the anime first without knowing the manga and you just thought this was the greatest story you'd ever seen in your lifetime, I would completely understand that. And if you come into the anime having already read the manga and you're just scratching your head going, why is this just not quite the same? I get that feeling too, because that's where I was. And it took me like 2 weeks of really thinking probably harder about this than I ever should have to piece it together, at least what's missing for me. Anyway, this is the longest stupid video I have ever done on a stupid subject, but that's my thoughts. Thank you for your comment, Carl. Thank you everybody else for watching, and I'll see you next time.